discover how one homeless man's incredible past transformed a CEO's mockery into life-changing lessons. On a gloomy afternoon, Ben stood beneath the gray sky of bustling downtown, where life surged by him like an overwhelming tide. Once a promising artist, he now wrapped himself in ragged layers that echoed of better times, gruesome reminders of his shattered dreams. Between the raindrops, his memories trickled in. Childhood laughter, family hugs, and the smell of oil paints filled his mind, comforting and torturous all at once. But today, standing at a community outreach fair, he wore his past like a faded coat, and it rattled against the sadness he bore. With a tattered notepad balanced on his knee, Ben's pencil danced across the page, capturing fleeting moments of life around him. He sketched children laughing, couples huddled under umbrellas, faces filled with kindness and indifference. It was a world he longed to be part of again, yet felt so far removed from. Just then, laughter broke nearby, sharp and jarring. Tyler, a well-dressed CEO, strutted past, tossing an arrogant critique over his shoulder. "Look at that sad excuse of an artist. Get a real job, buddy." The crowd froze, eyes darting between them like rapid fire. Ben's heart sank, but then something shifted. The warmth of his mother's voice floated back. "Dignity, Ben! Be true to yourself." He clenched his fist, resolving not to let Tyler's words define him. A surge of determination ignited within him. At that moment, he decided he would enter the local art contest, a step toward reclaiming his art, his life, his worth. Weeks flew by like leaves in the wind. Each stroke of his brush was a release, a scarlet splash symbolizing his pain, soft blues capturing the hope tucked away inside him. He poured every ounce of anguish and joy into paints, losing track of days. The city buzzed around him, blurring the lines of reality as he painted, clawing back to the artist he once was. Raw emotion radiated from the canvases, whispers of a spirit refusing to be snuffed out. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. It was the day of the exhibition, and as Tyler stepped inside the gallery, he felt a strange tugging at his heart. His eyes brushed over the canvases, but one caught him off guard. It was a tempestuous swirl of colors that echoed back his own insecurities, and the disdain he so carelessly cast on Ben. Each brushstroke screamed need, resilience, and hard-fought dreams. Tyler gasped, stunned by how a mere painting could strip layers of pretentiousness right off him. As Ben approached, the collision between their worlds loomed. Here they stood, one man shining from wealth, and the other from survival, the silence around them crackling with unanswered questions. Beneath the surface, injustice bubbled, compelling them both towards a monumental crescendo of realization. Would Tyler choose to see beyond the surface? And would Ben finally demand the respect his talent warranted? In that charged moment, the air thickened, souls intertwining, begging for change in a world too quick to judge and slow to understand. Tyler stood frozen, his initial arrogance dimmed by a wave of reflection. He had come for a fleeting entertainment, a distraction from his high-flying life, yet here was Ben, a man he had dismissed so easily, laying bare his soul through paint. The brightness of the artwork contrasted sharply with Tyler's crisp suit, forming a visual metaphor for their worlds. He felt a need to bridge the gap, to ask questions he hadn't thought to consider before. "Your work, it's powerful," Tyler managed to murmur, his voice unusually soft. He searched Ben's eyes, yearning for something, an acknowledgement perhaps, something to mend what he'd once broken with careless words. But Ben's gaze merely flickered, a blend of wariness and defiance. Years spent on the streets had taught him to guard his heart fiercely. "It's more than just colors on canvas," Ben replied, his voice steady despite the emotion swirling inside him. "Each stroke is my life. My story." He motioned to his creation, where vibrant reds danced with dark undertones symbolizing the fight he had faced, the night spent on cold concrete, and the flickers of hope that never quite extinguished. The crowd had grown, more people gathering around them, sensing the charged connection that seemed to vibrate in the air. They murmured, intrigued by the confrontation. "It's like you can feel the pain and hope all at once," one woman observed, leaning in closer to inspect the details that radiated from the painting. Tyler swallowed hard. He was usually the one reviewing art in a cold, clinical way at galas and auctions, burdened by expectations of what was deemed valuable. I didn't realize. I didn't know." The admission fell heavy between them, punctuated by the unsaid implications of how ignorance had failed him and people like Ben before. Ben's heart raced, battling between wanting to educate and the instinct to shield himself from possible rejection. "You don't have to know. You just need to see." He took a small step closer, his own vulnerability peeking through the bravado he had crafted. "Art is all around us. But it's the stories we don't see, the lives we ignore that breathe life into it." Piercing silence enveloped Tyler, who felt a rare connection pulling him toward Ben, unearthing feelings long buried under layers of corporate success and assumed superiority. The laughter that had once echoed from his lips transformed into a knot of shame in his throat. As if sensing the shift, the crowd began to stir. Whispers turned into thoughtful conversations, sharing as they sensed the historical weight of the moment. A faint glimmer of hope sparked in Ben's chest. Was this man really listening? "I can't change what I did, but I want to make it right." "Tell me how," Tyler said, determination infusing his tone. Would he really extend such an offer? The words landed heavy in the air, promising a potential alliance between two sharply divided worlds. Ben suddenly felt all eyes on them, every breath suspended in anticipation. This could lead to a crossroads, a chance for recognition. He yearned for a pathway to reclaiming both his identity and purpose. "Help me bring these stories to life," Ben replied, his voice now buoyed by courage. "Let me show you what real art is, the kind that doesn't just hang on a wall, but changes lives." As he spoke these words, he noticed Tyler nodding, a glimmer of warmth escaping his previously stone-cold demeanor. That energy surged, wrapping around them, igniting dreams they both thought were lost. But just as hope danced like fireflies in the dim light of the gallery, a familiar figure entered the room, a shadow from Ben's past, one that could reshape the course of both their lives. As recognition set in, tension grabbed hold once more. Would their fragile connection stand the test of what was about to unfold? The air buzzed with suspense, and everyone held their breath at the turning point. Would salvation emerge from the shadows? Ben's heartbeat quickened as his gaze fixated on the newcomer. The tall figure stood just inside the gallery's entrance, a stark contrast to the lively colors surrounding him. With a leather jacket that looked far too familiar and eyes hardened by years of struggle, it was a ghost from his history, Marcus. "I knew I'd find you here," Marcus said, his voice low and menacing. The charm that had once drawn Ben into a world he didn't want to acknowledge now dripped with disdain. The laughter he used to share with Marcus hung in the air like a forgotten melody. Tyler noticed the shift immediately, the tension coiling in the room, palpable and thick. He instinctively stepped closer to Ben, wanting to offer support, although he felt completely out of his depth. "What do you want?" Ben managed to mutter, his voice barely above a whisper. Marcus's presence was like a dark shadow, dredging up old fears. "Dad sent me to check on you," Marcus replied, crossing his arms. Guess he didn't like the way you've been living out here painting instead of working like a normal person. The crowd started to murmur, confusion rippling through them. Ben felt the blush creep up his neck, anger blending with vulnerability. He needed to defend himself, not just to Marcus, but to everyone standing there, witnessing this exchange. "I'm not going back," Ben asserted, his breath steadying as he picked up steam. "You think living in a box is easy? You think I chose this? I'm an artist. This is my voice. I'm finally becoming who I'm meant to be." "Empty words, Ben," Marcus sneered, leaning in. "You're wasting your life. Dad could have helped you, but you throw it all away for some childish dream." "No," Tyler exclaimed, stepping in front of Ben, a surprising protector. "You don't get to speak to him like that." His tone was firm, but filled with the emotion of the moment. There was a surge of unity that passed between him and Ben, a flickering light against the encroaching darkness. The crowd's murmurs grew, moving from curiosity to outrage at Marcus's words. The whispers formed a protective barrier, a collective energy that supported Ben's defiance. But Marcus was backing down, and the power shift in the gallery teetered precariously. "It's not about you making choices," he shot back. "It's about what is right. You think this is right? You think your art means anything to anyone? You need to wake up." There was a heavy silence, broken only by Ben's ragged breath. Hope seemed to hang by a thread. Would this confrontation splinter or strengthen what was beginning to bloom between him and Tyler? As if reading Ben's thoughts, Tyler turned slightly, concern etching his features. "What can we do?" he murmured, searching Ben's eyes. The urgency in his voice offered a lifeline, a chance to rally against the storm. Ben's gaze drifted back to his painting, the colors swirling with meaning, resilience that had so often been hard-won. "I need to show him. Show him what real art and life can be." With determination settling in his chest, Ben took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the gallery's energy surge. "Let us prove that art can't be dismissed so easily." He locked eyes with Tyler, sensing an unspoken agreement that sparked between them. But as the clock on the wall ticked down, threatening the moment's fragile momentum, Ben couldn't shake the feeling that Marcus wouldn't be the only one to challenge them today. Would they find strength in each other when the past came knocking, or would old wounds break them apart once more? As the tension simmered, a new voice unexpectedly called out from the back of the crowd, demanding attention and shaking the very foundations of Ben's resolve. The unexpected twist was about to unfold, but would it shatter everything he had just begun to rebuild? Ben's heart raced as he turned toward the source of the new voice. The crowd parted slightly, revealing an older woman with wild silver hair, her gaze piercing through the haze of uncertainty. She looked familiar, though Ben couldn't place her right away. "You," she began, her voice firm yet filled with compassion. "I used to know you. We were in that art program together years back. I was your instructor, Ms. Jennings." The revelation hit like a bolt of lightning. Memories surged, images of laughter and creativity dancing vividly in his mind. Ms. Jennings had encouraged him to explore his voice, to let the brush speak where words failed him. "Ms. Jennings?" Ben stammered, disbelief mixing with joy. "Is that really you?" "Indeed it is." "You haven't changed a bit," she replied with a warm smile, though her eyes betrayed the weight of time. "I've been tracking your work. Your art is astounding, Ben." "And you too," she added, glancing at Tyler, admiration twinkling in her eyes. Marcus scoffed loudly, cutting into the moment. "This is ridiculous. You think she is going to help you? Fading trends and dusty memories, this isn't the real world." "Real art speaks to the heart," Ms. Jennings countered, stepping forward, standing tall against Marcus's disdain. "It connects us, raises questions, and ignites change. It's the essence of being alive." Ben has that gift, don't doubt it. The tension in the room shifted, the energy morphing from borrowed courage to something inherently powerful. Ben felt a swell of gratitude toward Miss Jennings, her presence lighting a fiery resolve deep within him. See, Marcus? This is what I'm building, not just for myself but for others. Marcus's expression twisted with uncertainty. You think everyone in there cares? They see a homeless man, not an artist. That's where you're wrong, Miss Jennings replied, meeting his gaze steadily. Everyone's path carries weight. The paint, the emotion, the struggle, it all resonates. Look around. As the crowd grew quieter, Ben noticed fragments of smiles break through the sea of skeptical faces. Could his art truly touch them? Beside him, Tyler whispered, "You've got this, Ben. Show them." With that, Ben stepped closer to the canvas, feeling an electric connection to his work transform into a physical presence. Each brushstroke became infused with the weight of his journey, the nights on the streets, the determination to rise, the beauty he found in brokenness. He painted with fury and passion that pulsed in time with his heart. Marcus crossed his arms, his expression hardening. You really think this means anything to people like Dad? To him, you're nothing more than a mistake. Ben closed his eyes, suppressing the wave of emotions rising. He had fought too hard, sacrificed too much to be knocked down by the echo of disappointment again. That's not true, Ms. Jennings insisted sharply. Art doesn't have to please everyone, let alone a narrow-minded man. Ben's story, the struggles, the beauty, it's worth sharing for the sake of humanity. Returning his gaze to his canvas, Ben began to swirl vibrant colors, honoring the freedom he found in every stroke. He poured everything, the love, the pain, the dreams, into the piece before him. Memories of joy melded with those of sorrow, creating a symphony that transcended verbal explanations. Behind him, the crowd was moving closer, the whispers now morphing into soft gasps. Was it validation? His heartbeat surged as he realized that the connection was happening. They were feeling something. What are you doing? Marcus shouted, his voice laced with panic, the taunts from earlier forgotten. Ben turned, his voice steady but charged with raw emotion. I'm creating hope. I'm showing that I matter, that it's possible to rise from the ashes. He met Marcus's eyes, challenging him directly. The moment hung in the air, electrified by tension, uncertainty, and a shimmer of hope. Would this emerging defiance carry enough weight to shatter the chains Marcus had dragged behind him? As the last stroke dried on the canvas, a silence fell, deeper than any before. Would they embrace this rebirth, or would the shadows of the past return to rein them in? And then, just as the crowd began to stir with interest, a phone rang out from within, cutting through the silence with an unwelcome intrusion. Who would call, and what message might it carry, threatening to derail everything they had worked to build? The shrill ring sliced through the charged atmosphere. Everyone turned, eyes darting around in confusion. Ben felt a knot tighten in his stomach. The phone ringing had shattered the fragile cocoon of hope he'd woven. Who even carries a phone in a place like this? Marcus scoffed, trying to reclaim his triumphant stance. Just shows how ridiculous this all is. Ignoring him, Ben's eyes searched the crowd, looking for the source of the intrusion. Finally, a man stepped forward, a business suit sharply contrasting the worn, colorful atmosphere surrounding them. Ben recognized him immediately. It was Mr. Willard, the CEO of the art nonprofit that had once seemed to be his ticket to a better life. Sorry, everyone, Mr. Willard announced, his voice booming, but filled with a nervous edge. I came to see how the exhibit was going, but I think I might have a situation here. Ben's heart sank. The memory of the rejection letter haunted him like a ghost. The nonprofit's doors had closed to him years ago after that fateful meeting. Cut it out! Marcus shot back, his irritation evident. There's no situation. This guy has just to let him speak, Miss Jennings interjected, her tone laced with authority. Mr. Willard held up a hand, warding off Marcus's interruptions. I received a call just now from a foundation interested in sponsoring talent like Ben. They wanted to know if I had any recommendations. So when I heard about tonight's event, I felt compelled to check it out. And he paused, glancing meaningfully towards Ben. What I'm seeing here moves me truly. A ripple of surprise spread through the crowd, like a wave touching each person. Ben's breath hitched in his throat. Was this actually happening? If he dared to hope, would it all just come crashing down again? I've seen countless submissions over the years, Mr. Willard continued, his voice steadying. But what Ben's created, this comes from a place of honesty. It speaks to so many struggles people face today. Ben's pulse quickened. Up until this moment, every disappointment and setback had felt like weights dragging him down. Was it finally his turn to rise instead? Mr. Willard, Ben called out suddenly, vulnerability spilling through the cracks of his earlier resolve. Why should I believe you? Why should I trust this? The sharpness of his question hung in the air. In the next moment, he felt all eyes on him, curious, expectant, questioning. Trust doesn't come easy, Mr. Willard replied softly, especially not when it's been broken before. But art is a bridge. It helps us see each other. I want to help. I need to know if you're ready for what comes next. Ben's mind raced. A flood of images and doubt swirled in his thoughts. Was he ready? Could he leave behind the shadows that had haunted him for so long and embrace the light? Ben, you don't have to decide right now, Tyler whispered beside him, trying to anchor him. This is a chance. You don't need to rush. He nodded, letting Tyler's words sink in. The room felt charged, a volatile mix of anticipation and uncertainty. I want to give you an opportunity, Mr. Willard continued, his eyes searching Ben's face. But I need you to show me you're all in. Are you willing to step into the light? As those final words hung in the air, the crowd seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for an answer, a decision that could sway the balance between hope and despair. What would Ben choose? Could he embrace this chance, or would he let fear hold him back, once again? In that electrifying moment, a single thought broke through the chaos. Would he fight for the future he dreamed of, or let it slip away into the shadows that were still too familiar? Ben felt like the walls were closing in around him. All the faces, the whispers, the expectation, it became too much in that instant. His heart raced, thumping mercilessly against his ribcage. What did Mr. Willard mean by all in? Did it mean risking everything he had left, or did it mean fighting to break free from the chains that had anchored him for so long? Ben, don't overthink it, Tyler urged, sensing his turmoil. You know what it is to win. You've got to believe in yourself. Tyler's unwavering faith in him was a lifeline. But self-belief felt like a distant memory. How could he trust himself after so many failed attempts? The doubt crept back, and what if he failed again? What if this was just another false hope? Ben, Mr. Willard prompted again, gently, coaxing him to respond. The silence stretched like a tightrope, and Ben realized he had to say something. He took a deep breath, breaking the spell of hesitation. What if I say yes, but then I fall short again? The words were barely above a whisper, but they carried the weight of a lifetime of disappointment. Falling is part of the journey, Mr. Willard answered, his voice firm and reassuring. It's about getting back up. It's about taking that leap, even when the ground beneath feels unsteady. Ben searched Mr. Willard's eyes for a hint of insincerity, but all he found reflected his own fear and longing. Maybe all he needed was an opportunity, a platform to rise from the ashes of his past. He glanced at his artwork displayed in the room. Each piece was a story, a battle won or lost, a glimpse into the world he had lived. Those strokes, those colors, they told a story was he ready to abandon. But could he bear the weight of someone investing in him again? The room rippled with murmurs. Marcus snickered in the back, clearly unamused by the CEO's apparent admiration, but Ben blocked out the noise. Tonight wasn't he about Marcus or the naysayers, it was about him. "I want to try," he said, his voice finding strength. "I need to try. I want to let this light burn out again." Relief washed over him, and a spark of courage ignited within. The corners of Mr. Willard's mouth turned upward. "That's all I needed to hear. Your potential is limitless, Ben. Let us work together to make it a reality." A wave of cheers erupted around the room, and as the crowd absorbed his words, Ben felt a warmth that seemed to heal the invisible wounds. People smiled, others clapped, and his heart swelled with gratitude. Perhaps he wasn't navigating this journey alone after all. But just as Ben began to savor this moment, a loud crash shattered the celebration. The gallery doors flew open, and in strode a figure with an unmistakable energy that sent a jolt through the room. "Hold everything!" the newcomer shouted, scanning the space with fierce intensity. "I have news that will change everything." All eyes turned to the figure, electrified with curiosity and dread. Ben's pulse quickened again, apprehension pooling in his gut. Who was this person, and what were they about to say? As they stepped forward, a sense of urgency filled the air, declarations, revelations, fears, and potential colliding in a dizzying dance. Would this new twist reinforce the hope he just clasped onto, or would it send him crashing back down into despair? For Ben, it seemed the path ahead was about to grow even more complicated than before. The figure paused momentarily, a stranger who exuded confidence that contrasted sharply with the storm of emotions swarming Ben's chest. He was tall, with tousled dark hair, and an energized smile that barely masked the gravity of his words. Ben couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just any announcement, it was a catalyst. "Who are you?" Tyler chimed in, his protective instincts kicking in. The newcomer seemed unfazed by the tension. "I'm Alex," he declared. "And I've got news you all need to hear." His voice rolled through the room like thunder, silencing the murmurs. "You think Ben here is just another artist? You have no idea what he has been through." The room shifted, faces reflecting confusion and intrigue. Ben's heart plummeted, the weight of Alex's words pressing down on him. What could he possibly know? Ben was once homeless. He had to fight for everything he is now. "That's a story that deserves to be told," Alex continued. "And I'm not here for pity. I'm here to offer an opportunity. Together we can create something that connects the world to the struggles that often go unnoticed." Ben wanted to sink into the floor, to disappear. The light he had embraced moments ago felt dimmed. Yes, he had come from a dark place, but could he really stand in front of these people now, as if it was a badge of honor? Would it overshadow all the progress he'd fought to achieve? "Is this a joke?" Marcus sneered, the venom in his tone palpable. "What's next? A sob story to sell your art?" Ben felt anger simmering just beneath the surface. Couldn't Marcus see that stories were not to be belittled? But he choked the words down, unwilling to let negativity distract him from the rare opportunity at hand. "Marcus," Alex shot back, "your ignorance speaks louder than any art can express. The truth has the power to uplift, even when it's wrapped in vulnerability." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Encouraged, Ben focused on Alex. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to work with me on a project that sheds light on those who are overlooked. I want to show the world that behind every work of art, there is a story of fight, a triumph, an incredible journey." The sincerity in Alex's voice felt like a spell. Ben found himself torn. On one hand, the idea both excited and terrified him. On the other, he feared that sharing his past would expose him anew. "But what if I can't do it? What if then you adapt and grow from it?" Alex interrupted, kindness in his eyes. "What if you could inspire others? What if you could reclaim your narrative?" That thought echoed in Ben's mind like a whisper. He glanced around at the faces in the crowd. Some faces held expressions of support, others skepticism, and still others, hope. Hope that he could do something, that he could be more than his past. Feeling a knot tighten in his stomach, Ben finally whispered, "What do I need to do?" "Just say yes. Just allow yourself to be vulnerable," Alex urged, his eyes locking onto Ben's with a fierceness that made him believe. The world felt heavier as Ben contemplated. It wasn't just about him anymore. There were countless others with stories hidden in shadows. Could he step into the light? Just as he opened his mouth to answer, an unexpected sound sliced through the air, an alarm from someone's phone, loud and disruptive. As it faded into the chaos of murmurs, Ben noticed the tension shift. People were distracted again, turning their attention away to check messages. It wasn't over. Something thunderous was brewing in the distance, and as Ben stood at this crossroads, he felt the electricity of change in the air. What awaited him on this path? "Ben, what is it going to be?" Tyler asked, his voice breaking through the haze, pulling him back. The room waited, breaths held, as Ben's heart raced with a mix of fear and the taste of potential. How much risk was he willing to take? Suddenly, he had a clarity he'd never experienced before. "I want to give it a shot," he said, feeling the taste of courage on his tongue. But as the crowd buzzed with anticipation, a hand shot up from the back, clutching a phone. "You all need to see this, it's urgent." The atmosphere transformed again, curiosity replaced by dread, as Ben braced himself for what was coming next. Would his past help pave the way, or would this new revelation threaten everything he had just begun to embrace? Ben's breath hitched as the sudden shift swept through the crowd like a chilly wind. The hand raised in the back belonged to a woman whose face was partially obscured by the glow of her phone, her eyes wide with something that felt threatening. "What is it?" someone called out, straining to see past the growing mass of bodies crowding the entrance. It's about Ben," she stammered, the urgency in her voice commanding immediate attention. The murmurs quieted, all ears now focused on the impending revelation. "Look!" she shouted, holding the phone aloft. The screen flashed with an article headline that read like an accusation, "Local artist's past exposed." Was he really homeless? Ben's heart raced. All the progress he felt earlier washed away, replaced by a wave of nausea. He could almost hear the claws of doubt scraping at the edges of the crowd. He caught a glimpse of Marcus, a satisfied grin spreading across his face as if he'd just won a game. This was a game for Ben. This was his life. Alex stepped forward, protectively placing himself in front of Ben, as if to shield him from the prying eyes and judging murmurs. "This isn't what you think it is," he argued, his voice rising to gather the attention swarming toward the unsettling news. But it was too late. The whispers churned into a storm, feeding off uncertainty. How could we trust him? Someone asked, the question slicing through the noise. "This is about honesty," another voice chimed, accusatory. "Why didn't he tell us? How much of his art is real?" Every word felt like a slap, each voice carrying the sting of betrayal. Ben clenched his fists, pulling in a deep breath. He fought the rush of emotions threatening to drown him. Why was the past creeping in now, just when he began to feel hopeful? Was this his penance? "Ben," Tyler urged, his sincerity cutting through the chaos. "You have to speak up. They need to hear your side." The pressure mounted, leaving him in a whirlwind of fear and vulnerability. Did he have the strength to face this backlash? But there was something deeper pushing him now. Alex had stirred something within him, a sense of purpose that had been buried for too long. Taking a step forward, Ben felt the crowd parting like a wave. Their eyes bored into him, a mix of doubt, curiosity, and pity swirling in the air. "Listen," he finally said, his voice shaky but gaining strength with each word. "Yes, I was homeless, but I'm not that guy anymore. I'm not looking for sympathy. I want to tell my story to inspire. But that doesn't mean it should be a topic for mockery. He held his breath, sensing the shift. Some faces softened, while others hardened. The weight of their gazes was almost unbearable, yet he pressed on. Art isn't just a pretty picture. It's raw, it's real, it's everything that life represents. I want to share that, and show you that it's okay to feel. But I need you to meet me halfway. The murmurs turned into whispers of contemplation, and in that moment, a glimmer of understanding flickered in the air. Could they see beyond his past to embrace the person he had become? "Ben, you need to let them in," Alex encouraged, a steady anchor amidst the swirling confusion. "You've got this. Just let them see you." As he glanced around, he caught Tyler's gaze filled with unwavering support, the flicker of hope rekindling just a little inside. There was something raw and deeply human in his plea. But just as the crowd began to resonate with his words, a clap echoed from the back, followed by another, as if mocking his newfound vulnerability. Marcus stepped forward, a smirk plastered across his face. "So what is next? A charity event for yourself? What is this really about?" Ben's insecurities flared again, churning into hot anger. The path of redemption felt obscured by the shadows of judgment. Yet a fire ignited within him. He had come too far to back down now. "Just when I thought it was about art and stories," Ben said, his voice rising to meet the skepticism head-on. "Maybe it's about revealing the truth in all its flaws. My flaws included." But through the venom of Marcus's derision, he couldn't shake the doubt that had resurfaced. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted again, and all directions turned toward the door, as a new figure entered, someone familiar yet unexpected, someone with the potential to shift the tide once more. Would this unexpected arrival bring salvation or stir chaos into an already tumultuous situation? "Ben! You wouldn't believe what I just heard," the stranger exclaimed. Ben's heart raced again, sensing that change was about to erupt in ways he could never foresee. What truths would unfold, and would they hold the power to turn the tide for him? The room buzzed with anticipation, a charged current running through the air as the newcomer stepped further inside. The bright lights flickered against their silhouette, revealing a determined face that sent a jolt through Ben. It was Sarah, his old art teacher from the community center, the one who believed in him when he had given up on himself. "Sarah?" His voice cracked, filled with disbelief. "How did she know he was here?" "I heard what happened. I came as soon as I could." She pushed through the crowd, urgency in her steps. "You have to tell them your story, Ben. You have so much to offer." Her eyes were fierce, almost pleading. The crowd's attention shifted from Ben to Sarah, and curiosity rippled through the air. It was as if her arrival had punctured the thick tension, allowing the dust of misunderstanding to settle momentarily. Yet Marcus took this opening to lean forward with a sneer. "And who are you? A cheerleader for the lost artist? What can you say that'll change anything?" With an incredulous look, Sarah squared her shoulders. "I can tell them that Ben's past isn't a punchline. It's a testament." She stepped closer to Ben, her presence a steadying force. "He fought through every hardship. He took all that pain and turned it into something beautiful, something that speaks to us. Art isn't just pretty, it's real. It can heal." Ben met Sarah's gaze, and he felt a warmth spread through him. Her confidence flowed into his veins, helping to combat the anxiety swirling in his stomach. Maybe she was right. Maybe this moment mattered. "Why were you really homeless, Ben?" someone from the crowd asked, cutting through the chatter with a sharp edge. "What happened?" The question hung heavy in the air. He had always feared that discussing his history would make him vulnerable again, but Sarah's arrival had ignited a fierce determination. They needed to know. I was running away, he started, his voice steadying. Running from a family that didn't understand me. I thought maybe if I left, I would find freedom. But I found darkness instead. The crowd listened, hanging on his words. He shared his journey, the solitudes of the streets, the shelters, the struggles. It had been hard, humiliating at times. But he also found community, compassion, unexpected kindness. I started sketching on napkins and scrap paper because that's how I could survive. Every piece I created held a bit of hope. As he spoke, the room shifted. Faces transformed, understanding beginning to bloom like wildflowers in the cracks of concrete. Art can bridge gaps. It can voice pain and beauty all at once. I'm here not just to ask for acceptance, but to open a door for everyone with similar stories. His breathing quickened, adrenaline surging. We are not defined by our past. I'm here to prove that change is possible, and I want to help others who feel lost find their way. The audience seemed to lean in, caught between the gravity of his struggles and the potential for transformation. He felt buoyed by their collective gaze, a thread of connection weaving through him and into the crowd. But then, Marcus cut through the moment. So what's next? Exhibit your art? Hope the world suddenly starts to care? That jab was sharp, but something flickered in Ben as he shot back. It's not about them caring. It's about them understanding. We all have stories woven into our hearts. Suddenly, a hand shot up from the back. It was an older gentleman, his brow furrowed. Could you teach me? To create? The question buzzed through the crowd like electricity. A wave of hope washed over Ben, and he nodded fervently. Of course. That's what I want to do. As excitement filled the air, Ben's heart raced. He could sense the shift, the tide turning in a way he could have never dreamed. But amidst the budding optimism, whispers rose again, challenging the newfound energy. Yeah, but how do we know it's not just another excuse? How can we trust that this isn't just another con? The skepticism still loomed, an unsettling reminder that not all hearts were ready to embrace the light. Ben, Sarah urged, this is your moment. Don't let them dim your light. He took a deep breath, grounding himself. I can only show you who I am now. It's up to you to see it. But I promise I won't back down. As the crowd began to respond, murmurs of agreement spreading through, Ben knew he was on the cusp of something significant, not just for him, but for everyone in that room. Yet deep down, he felt a lingering question echoing through his heart. What if the acceptance he craved was still a distant dream? Would his past keep haunting him, or would this moment pave the way toward a brighter future? The atmosphere simmered with potential. Was he ready to face it all head-on? Then, Alex's voice broke through his thoughts, unwavering. What if your story brings even more than you imagined? That spark ignited a new wave of uncertainty, and Ben realized this was just the beginning. Would he grasp this opportunity, or would fear send him spiraling back into darkness? The weight of the moment pressed heavy. As the crowd waited, breaths held. What's next was a question hanging in the silence, and he knew the answer would change everything. The crowd clung to Ben's words, a hush settling over the gallery like a blanket, absorbing his story, a history marred by pain, but also glistening with hope and resilience. Each face around him transformed as they began to grasp his reality, the storm of judgment replaced by a fragile understanding. Art isn't just feed for the eye, it's nourishment for the soul, Ben declared, his voice growing stronger, filled with conviction. What I want is to create a movement to show that everyone has a story worth telling. A voice that matters. As he spoke, he saw heads nodding, glimpses of shared empathy sparking in the eyes of strangers now drawn closer. Words unraveled as he painted a richer picture, a canvas of unity and purpose, bridging the void that divided them. Tyler stepped up beside him, a protective force. This isn't just about Ben's story. It's about our community. Art connects us, lifts us, challenges us to look deeper. The cheers bounced around the gallery, creating a wave of camaraderie that rolled through the audience. I lost everything, Ben continued, his voice trembling with emotion. But I learned that every setback was a brushstroke in my life as masterpiece. I want to help others find their colors, their voices. Together, we can create a tapestry of stories that celebrate our diversity and resilience. But even as hope surged like wildfire, Marcus's skepticism clung stubbornly in the air. And what makes you so special? How do we know you won't just slip back into your old ways? His tone dripped with mockery, a thorn in an otherwise blossoming moment. Ben felt anger flare up again, but caught it before it escaped. Instead, he took a deep breath, casting his gaze around the room. We've all fought battles, whether we wear them as visible scars or hidden memories. The fear of failure is universal. But here's the truth: I'm standing here today because I chose to fight back. His words pierced through the skepticism, igniting something within the crowd. Faces began to soften, suspicion melting away, replaced by a sense of connection, a thread woven by shared difficulties. Some were nodding. Others began to clap, and slowly, the clapping grew into an overwhelming applause, reverberating off the walls, echoing support in vibrant harmony. Then Ms. Jennings stepped forward, a fire ignited in her eyes. "When you paint your truth, you invite others to see theirs too," she said, her voice empowered. "You show us that we are more than our circumstances." The applause swelled anew, and Ben felt his heart swell with a warmth of acceptance he had long yearned for. Perhaps he wasn't alone in this fight after all. Perhaps he could be that bridge for others, just like Ms. Jennings had been for him. "Let us start a community project," he suggested, the idea bubbling forth. "An art showcase highlighting our stories, our struggles, a way for everyone to participate. We could abandon the fear and create an environment where everyone feels safe to share." The crowd erupted with enthusiasm, voices intertwining in agreement. "Yes, let us do it," echoed through the gallery, igniting an undeniable energy that surged through him. "Together," Tyler shouted, raising Ben's hand in solidarity, a unifying signal to the room filled with families, artists, and those from all walks of life. But just as the electricity of this new movement sparked brilliant joy, Marcus scoffed again, drowning the moment in doubt. "So what will that really change?" he barked, eyes locked on Ben. "It's all talk," another artist looking for attention. Instead of retreating, Ben moved closer to Marcus, meeting his glare squarely. "Not just talk, Marcus. Actions. That's how we'll sway the perspective, and change starts here and now." The challenge hung in the air, bold and daring. "People will see that we're not defined by our past, but shaped by what we choose to do with it." His voice thundered with conviction, a sound echoing through the space. "Let us build this together," someone called out from the back, rising to their feet, followed by another standing, then another. Soon, the entire audience was on their feet, faces lit up with excitement, the energy crackling in a way that felt electric. Let us give hope where there was only doubt. Let us create understanding where ignorance ruled. Ben pulled all of it toward him like magnetic energy, drawing strength from the crowd, the support surging forward. As the noise crescendoed into a wave of solidarity, Ben looked around the gallery, his heart pounding. In this moment, they were all part of something bigger and awakening. And through the ebb and flow of that tumult, he caught a glimpse of a future unfurling ahead of him, bright, bold, and unapologetically hopeful. The past had shaped him, yes, but it did not have to define him any longer. The shadows that once loomed heavily over him began to dissolve. In that visceral moment of communion, Ben felt transformation wash over him and ripple through the crowd like a soothing balm. They were bound together by their willingness to stand strong, to advocate for change, and to create a narrative that was layered and rich. Hope flickered in the distance, twinkling like stars peeking through the clouds. This wasn't just his story anymore. It was all of theirs, a collective journey. Together, they would paint the world anew. And as the applause echoed off the gallery walls, creating a beautiful harmony of acceptance and love, Ben knew with a surge of certainty, this was just the beginning. Now, before I go, I need you to do something momentous. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help our journey reach more hearts. Comment your feelings about this explosive ending, because your voice matters. And don't forget to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who truly need to see this transformational message. This is the moment to show your support, and remember, only true fans understand the power behind uplifting and sharing. Don't wait not even one more second.